Village of Ridgewood Village Council, regular public meeting. Today is April 10, 2019. The time is 8 p.m. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by a posting on the bulletin board in Village Hall, by mail to the Ridgewood News, the Record, and by submission to all persons entitled to same as provided by law, but schedule including the date and time of this meeting. Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Newton. Here. Councilman Seaton.
Here.
Councilman Voigt.
Here.
Councilwoman Walsh.
Here.
And Mayor Hache.
Here. Please stand for the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join us in a moment of silence in honor of the brave men and women serving the nation's armed forces and as first responders. Thank you. Before we begin with the main part of the agenda, I would like to welcome up. We have a new business in town. Nicole Mance is here, and Laura Van Dyke, are you here? Come on up. The new owners of Heart in Motion.
Yes.
So why don't you tell us about your business, where it's located, what do you do, a little bit about yourselves.
Sure, great. Well, I'm Laura Van Dyke, and
I'm Nicole Mankey, also known as Nikki Manx, and Laura and I first met 15 years ago at Mason Gross School of the Arts at Rutgers University.
And after graduating, Nicole started her dance company, Nikki Manx Dance Project, of which I was a founding company member. And they do a lot of work for social justice and environmental issues over the years. And we've both worked at Art of Motion for the last, let's see, how many years?
Maybe 4 or 5 years,
Yeah.
which has been in town for 17 years. And we recently became the owners April 1st, and we're going to continue a lot of great things that they had in town. We have classes for students 2 to 100, and it's true because Mayor Hache actually gave the proclamation to our student who's 100 years old and is dancing with us at Hack Pack and Hackensack this weekend. So we really do have students up to 100, as well as our children program, and we do a lot of community service, cause-driven work, an annual thriller flash mob with Walktober. We just did a big dance donation for underprivileged youth in Harlem today, and we're going to continue all these great programs in town. Thank you so much. Come and visit us, Chestnut Street. We're above the Coin Shop and Roots, and thank you for welcoming us.
Again, welcome, and we're excited to have you and wishing you best of luck in your business. Thank you. I move the bills, claims, and vouchers and statement of funds on hand as of March 31st, 2019 be accepted as submitted.
Second. Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Walsh. And Hache.
Yes. I move that the Village Council minutes of January 30th and March 13, 2019, having been reviewed by the Village Council and now available in the Village Clerk's office, be approved as submitted.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Walsh. And Hache.
Yes. And now we have a special video presentation from a high school freshman, Liam Winograd. And this is something that he worked on with some collaborators that he prepared for the residents of Ridgecrest and the senior bus. And it's a very lovely video. And Liam, if you want to come up and tell us a little bit about it, yeah? Welcome.
Into here.
You got it.
It's just, I want to thank Ridgecrest and all the people who helped out, Mayor Hache and the people who just helped make this video possible. Just promoting the senior bus, a great quality that Ridgewood has that some towns don't have, and we just wanted to get the word out. It's a great bus driver, great service, great thing to the town. Oh, sorry, been sick. Thank you.
No, thank you.
My name is Betty.
for the bus. Tuesday's been basically stayed in Ridgewood. We go to Stafford Chapel, Kings, or Rite Aid. And on Wednesday, we did go to Ramsey one time. Other than that, he will take you wherever you need to go.
Janet Ricky has worked on the Senior Bus Project since 2008. We constantly are looking for more customers because people in these ages in their lives make changes, but then new people come in, and that's one of the things for this community to provide to seniors, and the mayor makes that happen.
I just want to say how proud I am of the work that you did, Liam. Thank you for letting me be a part of the video as well. And I'm also very proud of the support that the village provides to the senior bus, which is really a game changer for a lot of our senior residents. I'm also very proud of the work and the collaboration that goes on between village staff. I know Jenna Fricke was on the video, and also the work and collaboration that we do with the age-friendly Ridgewood, which were kind enough and generous enough to provide that extra day for the bus to run. So instead of 2 days, making it 3. And, we're all very supportive of this. We voted for a new bus. It's on its way. It's beautiful. And I know that Billy will take great care of it as he does with the old bus. I was just so amazed how clean that bus was inside. You could eat off the floor. And if you weren't, outside of it, you couldn't tell how old the bus really was. He takes good care of it. And it was just really nice to see just what a great relationship Billy had with all the residents as they were boarding and taking them places. So it was great. So very, very happy of the collaboration by everybody.
So I have one question. Who did all the great camera work for that? Was anybody here who did the camera work? Anybody? Anybody want to admit it? Chloe, do you want to admit you did the Chloe, you did a very nice job with the camera work, by the way.
So we're going to move on to proclamations. We have quite a few. And to start, Deputy Mayor Knudsen.
Thank you. Whereas distracted driving is a serious, life-threatening practice that is preventable, and whereas distracted driving can result in injuries and death to all road users, including motorists, pedestrians, and bicyclists. And whereas distracted driving occurs when drivers divert their attention away from the task of driving to focus on another activity instead. And whereas in 2016 alone, distracted driving related crashes resulted in 3,450 deaths and 391,000 injuries on our nation's roadways. And whereas in New Jersey, distracted driving was listed as a contributing circumstance in 53% of all motor vehicle crashes in 2016, and whereas the state of New Jersey will participate in a nationwide distracted driving 2019 crackdown from April 1st to April 21st, 2019, in an effort to raise awareness and decrease driver distraction through a combination of enforcement and education. And whereas the national slogan for the campaign is, "You drive, you text, you pay." And whereas a resolution in distracted driving in New Jersey will save lives on our roadways, a reduction, I'm sorry. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim its support both locally and nationally for the 2019 You Drive, You Text, You Pay distracted driving crackdown, April 1st through April 21st, 2019, and pledges to increase awareness of the dangers of distracted driving.
Thank you. Councilman Seaton, Tree Planting Month.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas the Village of Ridgewood is proud of its many trees, which contribute so much to the beauty and comfortable ambiance of the village, and whereas trees in our village increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community, and whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world in recognition of the importance of trees, and whereas the Village of Ridgewood has been recognized as a Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation for its extensive plantings and its programs for the maintenance of trees, now therefore be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim April 19th as Tree Planting Month in the Village of Ridgewood, and April 26, 2019 as Arbor Day, and urges all residents to plant trees to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands and to support our village's urban forestry program.
Thank you. Councilwoman Walsh, Lax Day.
Thank you. Whereas the Ridgewood Lacrosse Association was formed to serve the youth of Ridgewood by introducing them to the sport of lacrosse. And whereas the goals of the Ridgewood Lacrosse Association, RLA, include educating the youth of Ridgewood in the ideals of good sportsmanship, honesty, loyalty, courage, leadership through the teaching of and supervision of the game of lacrosse, and aiding in the development of the character, citizenship, and physical fitness of the youth of the village. And whereas the program is one of the largest and most successful programs in the state of New Jersey, with more than 100 coaches and other volunteers that contribute to this outstanding program, in addition to 700 Ridgewood boys and girls now participating on teams that compete both within the village and against teams elsewhere in New Jersey, Connecticut, New York, and Maryland. And whereas Ridgewood High School benefits from this association, as most players in the Ridgewood High School lacrosse boys and girls programs initially develop their skills in RLA programs. And whereas the RLA is a member of the New Jersey Junior Lacrosse Leagues for boys and girls and the Northern New Jersey chapter of U.S. Lacrosse. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim Saturday, April 27th, 2019 as Ridgewood Lacrosse Day or Lax Day, and encourages all residents to show their support for this celebration of youth lacrosse in the Village of Ridgewood and their appreciation of this extraordinary association and its volunteers, both past and present.
Thank you. And I will read proclamation celebrating the 35th anniversary of Ridgecrest Apartments. So this is a special one. Whereas Ridgewood Senior Citizens Housing Corporation, Inc. was formed in May 1975 in the state of New Jersey. The corporation is an independent 501c3 nonprofit organization that is controlled and managed by a board of trustees, all of whom are residents of Ridgewood and are volunteers who donate their time. And whereas since its inception, the mission has been to provide good quality, affordable housing to low-income older adults, age 62 and over, and people with disabilities at Ridgecrest Apartments. They broke ground in 1982 and opened in May 1st, 1984. And whereas Ridgecrest Apartments are heavily dependent upon federal funding to cover operating costs and capital investment expenditures, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, has provided approximately 70% of the income, with tenant rents providing essentially the remaining 30%. And whereas the Housing Authority of Bergen County has been working for the corporation under contract as its managing agent and is responsible for maintenance, management of capital projects, day-to-day operations, and service to tenants. And whereas, despite any hardships that the tenants of Ridgecrest may face, they are inspired and empowered to live their best lives, with the Ridgecrest tagline being, "Inspiring hope to empower our tenants to thrive in place." Now therefore be resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim May 2019 as the 35th anniversary of the Ridgecrest Apartments, which have provided its vibrant and active tenants a place to call home in the Village of Ridgewood and the ability to truly form a very special community. And we have Councilman Voigt with the 50th anniversary of Municipal Clerks Week.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of the municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels, and whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all, and whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community, And whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations, and whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the municipal clerk. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby recognize May 5th through 11th, 2019 as the 50th anniversary of Municipal Clerks Week, and further extends appreciation to our municipal clerk, Heather Maylander, and to our deputy municipal clerk, Donna Jackson, as well as to all municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent.
Thank you. 2019 National Drinking Water Week. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Whereas water is a valuable natural resource, and whereas only tap water delivers public health protection, fire protection, support for our economy, and quality of life we enjoy. And whereas many measures of a successful society, low mortality rates, economic growth and diversity, productivity, and public safety are in some way related to the access of safe water. And whereas we are all stewards of the water infrastructure upon which future generations depend, and whereas each citizen of our village is called upon to help protect our source waters from pollution, to practice water conservation, and to get involved in local water issues by getting to know their water. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim May 5th through May 11th, 2019 as National Drinking Water Week here in the Village of Ridgewood.
Thank you. We're almost done, I promise. Building Safety Month, Councilwoman Walsh.
This is a long one, so.
Oh, get some popcorn.
Whereas our village's continuing efforts to address the critical issues of safety, energy, efficiency, water conservation, and resilience in the built environment that affect our citizens both in everyday life and in times of natural disaster give us confidence that our structures are safe and sound. And whereas our confidence is achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, laborers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas these guardians, dedicated members of the International Code Council, use a governmental consensus process that brings together local, state, and federal officials with expertise in the built environment to create and implement the highest quality codes to protect Americans in the buildings where we live, learn, work, worship, and play. And whereas the international codes, the most widely adopted building safety, energy, and fire prevention codes in the nation, are used by most U.S. cities, counties, and states. These modern building codes also include safeguards to protect the public from natural disasters such as hurricanes, snowstorms, tornadoes, wildland fires, floods, and earthquakes. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the critical role of our community's largely unknown guardians of public safety, our local code officials, who assure us of safe, efficient, and livable buildings. And whereas code officials, partners in community safety and economic growth, the theme of Building Safety Month 2019 encourages all Americans to raise awareness of the importance of building codes and resilient construction, fire prevention, disaster mitigation, water safety and conservation, energy, efficiency, and new technologies in the construction industry. And whereas Building Safety Month 2019 encourages appropriate steps everyone can take to ensure that the places where we live, learn, work, worship, and play are safe and sustainable, and recognizes that countless lives have been saved due to the implementation of safety codes by local and state agencies. And whereas each year, in observance of Building Safety Month, Americans are asked to consider projects to improve building safety and sustainability at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all of us by local and state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim May 2019 as Building Safety Month and encourages all residents to join in participation in Building Safety Month activities.
Thank you very much. And last but certainly not least, Older Americans Month, read by Councilman Voigt.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas the Village of Ridgewood includes a growing number of older Americans who enrich our community through their diverse life experiences, and whereas the Village of Ridgewood is committed to strengthening our community by connecting with and supporting older adults, their families, and caregivers, and acknowledging their many valuable contributions to society. And whereas the Village of Ridgewood recognizes the importance of bringing together all generations and engaging in activities that promote physical, mental, and emotional well-being for the benefit of all. And whereas the Village of Ridgewood can enhance the lives of older Americans in our community by promoting home and community-based services that support independent living, involving older adults in community events and other activities, providing opportunities for older adults to work, volunteer, learn, lead, and mentor. And whereas the 2019 theme is Connect, Create, Contribute, which encourages older adults in their communities to connect with friends, family, and services that support participation. Create by engaging in activities that promote learning, health, and personal enrichment. Contribute time, talent, and life experience to benefit others. And whereas the activities planned for the month of May in the Village of Ridgewood include a collection of toiletry items to benefit Ridgecrest Apartments, a networking meeting, a caregiver webinar, bingo bonanza, and Ridgewood Rides, Ridgewood Talks, while learning fun facts of our great town. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village of Ridgewood, Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim May 2019 as Older Americans Month and encourages every resident to take time this month to recognize older adults and the people who serve them as essential and valuable members of our community.
Thank you. Okay, and since we have representative from Ridgecrest Apartments, Sue Ulrich is here, and we have Beth Abbott from Age Friendly. I will ask my council colleagues to join me on the floor to present these proclamations to you. So. All right. The reason why the room is so full tonight. Swearing in of Ridgewood's bravest. So I will call up first. Thomas Benintende. I, Thomas Benintende, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of probationary firefighter according to the best of my ability. So help me God.
Make sure he signs.
All right, next we have Trevor Fetkowitz. I, Trevor Fetkowitz, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of New Jersey, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of probationary firefighter according to the best of my ability. So help me God.
We'll work through it, I guess.
Okay, and we'll call up now Matthew Range.
Where do I go?
Come next to her, right here. Don't bring it here. Come here, right here. Right here.
Come on, Tish.
Come on, Tish, you want to come?
Yeah. All right. It's not his first rodeo. I, Matthew Range, do solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States and the state of New Jersey, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of Fire Lieutenant according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations. John Judge. All right, you guys are doing great. I, John Judge, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of New Jersey, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of fire captain according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations.
That wasn't entertaining.
So funny. He looked up and said,
Running around in circles. That was hilarious. These kids were great. League up here? The women in the front? Oh, that's age friend. Oh, okay. I knew one of them was from Ridgewood. I thought she was in the league as well.
all right. We'll move on now to public comments, not to exceed 3 minutes per person. Good
Good
evening.
evening, Mayor and Council. Ellie Gruber, 229 South Irving. And as an older American, I'm very, very happy to say something, because it's my month, I guess, next month. I watched the meeting last week when you talked about the ordinance, plastic bag ban ordinance, and you asked a very interesting question, which by the next day we all called a few towns to find out what they did for their street fairs and their farmers markets. You had asked, what about that? How would you work the ban during that? Which is a good question. So we contacted 4 towns representing both large and small communities, including, well, as usual, we contacted Seattle, which I know very well. And their policy is that the farmers markets know in advance when they get their permits to have the farmers market, you send them a permit with requirements. This is one of the requirements they send out. They make exceptions for certain kinds of food that the same exceptions in the supermarkets. If they're selling cheese, if there's, like the mozzarella, stuff like that, there are exceptions. Jersey City does something fantastic that I really think we should follow. They have a page with frequently asked questions. The questions are great, the answers are clear, and this is the purpose of our 6-month education period, to answer questions like you have, to answer other questions that may come up that we didn't think of. But I really urge you to pass the ordinance when it comes down to vote for it. I mean, you're following a trend, you're not starting anything. It's been successful. People don't mind it, they get used to it, they bring their bags, and I noticed even the Stop and Shop, they have on their railing, they have bags you can buy because they're complaining about the bags, they want to get rid of them. So anyway, I just thought we'd answer your question. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Ann Loving, 342 South Irving Street. Next Tuesday, we get to do something that the citizens of Ridgewood haven't been able to do for a number of years. Once again, we are going to be able to legally vote on the Board of Education budget proposal. And I want to thank those of you who voted on this and who made it possible for us to have our legal right to do that reinstated. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll close public comments. I move the clerk read ordinance 3708 by title on second reading, that the public hearing thereon be open.
Second. Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3708?
An ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank, NJSA 48:4-45.14.
The public hearing is now open. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3708 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes.
At this time, we'll have an overview of the 2019 budget. I'd like to have Mr. Rooney come up, Bob Rooney, and I know that we also have Bud Jones, our auditor, in the audience, and he's here in case there are any questions.
Okay.
So tonight we present to council a $50.6 million operating budget that we request you adopt. We also have a $7.2 million general capital budget, which you'll be discussing later by ordinance. This budget generates a 0.99% municipal tax increase, which is valued at $48 annual increase on the average assessed home, valued at $702,225. Our estimated outstanding bonds and notes are $39.7 million this year as compared to $39.8 million last year. and this budget shows a revenue expenses are up approximately 1.1% from the prior year. The next slide shows historical perspective, our tax rate increases. Notably, the last 2 years, we've held to a 0.99% increase.
Our 2019 goals include reviewing plans, provide permits, and inspect the multifamily housing buildings, which they are starting actually to be built, expanding the public Wi-Fi to Memorial Park at Van Ness Square, installing improved sound system and acoustics in the Village Hall courtroom, improving the broadcasting of Village Council meetings, enhancing the stigma-free committee with more outreach to the village and its residents, hiring new management and supervisory positions for longtime employees who are retiring, establishing a revenue consolidation system and allowing for credit card use, beginning construction of the Hudson Street parking garage. A new packer truck will be available at the recycling center for cardboard in the second quarter of this year, establishing a composting food waste recycling area at the recycling center. Police department will create community policing teams, getting the e-ticket program running efficiently with a possible shared service with other municipalities. We will replace a fire engine that is 25 years old. The municipal court process has been streamlined, and we've installed a new video system for the municipal court in the courtroom, which goes to all of the jails in the state, which negates the need to transport prisoners to the Ridgewood Municipal Court. We'll be installing more parking kiosks in the central business district. Permanent part-time employees will be increased and will assist in various departments as needed. Creation of the Shedler Park and renovation rehabilitation of the Zabriskie Shedler House will begin. Improvements at Kings Pond Park, the walking paths, small parking lots, and trees will be planted. Improvements to West Glen Avenue, where there will be some sidewalks installed. We'll update the design and content of the OEM website. We'll be negotiating the fire union contracts, enhancing participation in county program for the upgrade of traffic signal and intersections along Franklin Avenue, continuing the upgrade of the HVAC and security system at Village Hall, resurfacing tennis courts, resurface approximately 6 miles of road, replace public safety vehicles and equipment, update the SCADA system at the Water Pollution Control Facility. Under the water utility, we'll manage the renovation of the Elks Club for utility operations, procure and complete the PFAS action plan items, including construction of the new car treatment facility, manage successful completion of utility capital projects with emphasis on asset management plans and priorities, and projects that restore system capacity and prepare for future treatment requirements. We'll hire an IT professional for the water utility that will serve the utility's growth needs and bolster the village's technology plans. We'll complete the Passaic Valley Water Commission water quality study, pipeline design, and secure a contract that benefits the ratepayers of the utility. We'll continue to foster communication to the water utility consumers on conservation, budget, system progress, and capital plans, and we are hopeful that Wyckoff, Midland Park, and Glen Rock will adopt a new water conservation ordinance that Ridgewood adopted 2 years ago, I believe. Restructuring also the customer service and public relations area of the water utility to improve the front line, including launching a new website and new customer portal for looking up account data and communication with customers. Our challenges generally are the negotiations for the new fire union contracts, defensive tax appeals, appraisal costs, court settlements, state influence on fees, building municipal court, police overtime, stabilized infrastructure, and one-time revenues. In water, our challenges are the weather conditions, stabilizing infrastructure, and compliance with new EPA water quality regulations. Our opportunities are expansion of technology platform, new tax ratables due to development, availability of fund surpluses, shared services agreement for vehicle maintenance, and an enhanced website for resident usage.
Our operating budget will be funded by a surplus of $3.7 million, miscellaneous revenues of approximately $10.8, receipts from delinquent taxes of $688,000, amount to be raised by taxation of $33.1 million, and a public library tax of $2.2. This will result, as I said earlier, the $48 increase of an average assessed value home between 2019 and 2018. The next chart shows a pie chart of our municipal revenues. Our anticipated surplus is flat to last year. Our local revenues are showing a slight increase. State aid is flat, and we have a slight increase in other revenues. Our municipal expenditures increase are noted in 4 categories. One is public safety, one is public works, the other is statutory expenses which are primarily pensions, building, and a decrease in general government insurance and terminal leave. And the infamous dollar bill shows the distribution of your tax dollar, with the village sharing 23.56% of the total, schools at 65.56%, and county at 10.88%.
At this time, we'll have council comments.
Councilman Seaton?
Thank you, Mayor. Well, it's nice that we're at the end of budget season, and it gives us at least 2 weeks before we have to start for next year's budget. So enjoy the break, everyone.
Thanks
you
for
your hard
reminding
work
me.
on this. As you can see, it's basically 23.5 cents on your tax dollar funds everything that the municipality covers, which if you think about it is a lot, and the library. So it's garbage pickup, it's police, fire, EMS, Office of Emergency Services, the vast array of offerings that our Parks Department gives, care of all our parks facilities, our lands, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. As you can see, there's street paving, over $2 million in paving, which is already approved and passed, so we could get done as soon as we possibly can, and an increase of less than 1%, following another increase last year of less than 1%. So going back to the municipal percent tax increases slide, it's nice to see that the heady days of raising taxes 6 and 7% are long behind us, and in today's day and age, and I don't think we're ever going to get back there, at least not while I'm on the council. So this is a great budget, and I'm really proud of all the work that's been put into it by all of our department heads, our village manager, our employees, everybody who really pulled together to offer us reasonable tax increase. It is an increase, but still it's reasonable, and it provides an immense amount of services to our residents and our taxpayers. So for your 23.5% of your tax dollar, I think you're really getting great services in the village of Ridgewood, and I want to continue to improve those services and offer more in the future as best we can. So thank you, everyone, and I'll be proud to support this budget.
All right. Deputy Mayor?
So that was well said. Actually, I think you just covered all the bases. You know, I just actually wanted to thank everyone. I think we always grapple with these numbers and try to figure out where we can best serve the public. How do we deliver services? How do we deliver outstanding public safety? How do we do all of this and not bog everyone down with the overburdening of taxes? And I think that somehow we have found that right formula to get this done, and keeping it under 1% is just really an amazing accomplishment, and it's really due to the hard work, effort, and commitment of of our departments, of our CFO and our village manager. So thank you, and I know we go through this every year. You know, for some of us it's we've done it year in, year out, and this just seems to get more refined every year, and it's down to a science, and I couldn't be more proud of everyone in the room, so thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Walsh?
Thank you. Obviously, just to reiterate what they said, I think the one thing that I keep realizing in the years as we're going through each budget season is that nobody's afraid to think outside the box, and that has created new efficiencies for the village. We're still thinking that. We even talk about it in the budget sessions that, even though it's being presented to us, there's already ideas for the next year. I also want to thank Heather as our village manager, because she listens to us and all of our crazy ideas, even though they might be far-fetched, but that's how you make change. So, I'm really happy that we're supporting a budget that is something that we all should be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Boyd?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank Heather, Bob, and Steve for all the work they did in putting this together. I also wanted to thank all the department heads who are all sitting in the audience and the engagement you had with this, and you all were very committed to getting this done and committed to putting the best budget you could together. So thanks. I support the budget.
Thank you. This is a very eloquent bunch, so I'm just going to echo the comments that were made by my fellow council colleagues. Tremendous, amount of hard work that goes into this. year in, year out. And for us to be able to arrive at a budget that's not going to be a burden, and that it's also not going to cut into the quality of the services that our residents have become accustomed to. Again, big round for everyone involved, the department heads, for Bob, Heather, and Steve. So thank you. Will the clerk please read the title of the 2019 budget?
2019 budget of the Village of Ridgewood, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey.
The public hearing on the 2019 budget is now open.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Boyd Loving, 342 South Irving Street. Just want to make a quick comment on the process, and again, I've made this comment numerous times. The taxpayers who are sitting in the audience can't read the slides. So please, in the future, if you could increase the font size on the slides so that we can read the information that's being presented. Thank you.
The increase was so small, that's why you couldn't see it. It was tiny. I move the public hearing on the 2019 budget be closed.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Boyd.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes.
The resolution to adopt the 2019 budget. Be resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood, County of Bergen, that the budget hereinbefore set forth is hereby adopted and shall constitute an appropriation for the purposes stated of the sums therein set forth as appropriations, and authorization of the amount of $33,165,941 for municipal purposes, $291,153.11 for open space, recreation, farmland, and historic preservation trust fund levy, and $2,261,216 maintenance of free public library. General revenues. Surplus anticipated, $3,730,000. Miscellaneous revenues anticipated, $10,757,570. Receipts from delinquent taxes, $688,023. Minimum library tax, $2,261,216. Amount to be raised by taxation for municipal purposes, $33,165,941. Total revenues, $50,602,750. Summary of appropriations. General appropriations within caps. Operations including contingent, $40,293,401. Operations, total operation excluded from caps, $3,347,146. Capital improvements, $325,000. Municipal debt service, $5,352,203. Deferred charges, municipal, $55,000. Reserved for uncollected taxes, $1,230,000, for a total of $50,602,750. Be it further resolved that the within budget is a true copy of the budget finally adopted by resolution of the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood on the 10th day of April 2019. It is further certified that each item of revenue and appropriation is set forth in the same amount and by the same title as appeared in the 2019 approved budget, and all amendments thereto, if any, which have been previously approved by the Director of Local Government Services. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Boyd.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes.
And I'd just like to thank Bob Rooney, Steve Sanzari for putting this all together, and all of the department heads for all of your hard work on getting to this number again for the second year in a row for the tax increase. And I truly appreciate your cost savings efforts, and also the wonderful services that you provide for the village and its residents every single day. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, move on to manager's report.
Okay. The train station parking lot, construction has begun. It will last for 3 to 4 months. Up to 40 parking spaces will be unavailable at the train station lot during the construction. During this project, individual meters will gradually be removed and replaced with a central parking kiosk. Parking fees may also be paid using Park Mobile. Those displaced with premium parking permits may park in the flex spots in the Hudson Street lot, in the 3 rows that are the farthest from South Broad Street, or in any parking lot, but not in spots for shoppers and diners or CBD employees. Those using Park Mobile or coins will find additional parking at the Cottage Place parking lot. The flex spots in the Hudson Street parking lot are for Hudson permits, premium parking permits, and Shoppers Diners on a first-come, first-served basis each day. The Parks and Recreation Department is now selling annual grading pool memberships at a 10% discount until April 30th. If you're a Ridgewood resident and a seasonal member, this year you will be able to purchase a coupon book at the badge office for $150. You get 11 passes for the price of 10. Registration for summer day camp has also started and will be open until the cutoff of June 10th. After that date, there is an additional $50 late fee. Shred Day in Ridgewood will take place this Saturday, April 13th, in the Graden Pool parking lot from 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., rain or shine. You will be able to watch your documents on camera as they are securely shredded by Information Destruction Systems for recycling by Atlantic Coast Fibers. Limit of 5 file-size boxes per vehicle. This is free to all Ridgewood residents and businesses only. Please place items for shredding in a paper bag or a cardboard box. No plastic bags will be allowed. The Daffodil Festival and Earth Day celebration will take place this Sunday, April 14th, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Memorial Park at Van Ness Square. Celebrate with us at this annual special event, learn about our local parklands, and enjoy pony rides at petting zoo, educational displays, children's activities, musical entertainment, and the Daffy Dog Parade. Again, the Board of Education election will be held next Tuesday, April 16th, for a vote on the budget only. Polls will be open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. The sample ballots that went out at 2 p.m. to 8 p.m., the polls are open at 6 a.m., as all elections are. The Board of Education in April 2020 will have a vote on both candidates and the budget. There will be no November Board of Education election this year. Ridgewood was among 537 towns across the state to receive grants to advance road safety and quality of life improvements. Ridgewood will receive $175,000 from the New Jersey Department of Transportation to resurface Spring Avenue. Thank you to our engineering department for applying for this grant. Age-friendly Ridgewood, the Valley Hospital, and the Ridgewood Public Library cordially invite you to come and meet Ashton Applewhite. He's an author and activist against ageism on Tuesday, April 30th at 7 p.m. in the Bolger Auditorium of the Ridgewood Library. Ashton speaks at venues across the country, from universities and community centers to the TED main stage in the United Nations. She's a leading spokesperson for a movement to mobilize against discrimination on the basis of age. Call the library to reserve a seat. We have a prescription take-back sponsored by the DEA that will take place at the Ridgewood Police Department on Saturday, April 27th. Drop off any prescription medication between the hours of 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. to have prescription medications disposed of properly by our police department. The household hazardous waste collection, including fire extinguishers, fluorescent light bulbs, insecticides, kerosene, propane gas cylinders, will take place on Sunday, April 14th at Bergen Community College, which is on Paramus Road. That's from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., rain or shine. And as a reminder, please sign up for e-notices by clicking on the button, sign up for alerts at the bottom of the village website. This will keep you up to date on any changes in dates or any information which is important for village residents to know. Thanks.
Thank you. Village Council reports, Councilman Seaton.
Thank you, Mayor. The village manager already covered Earth Day, so I just have a couple announcements to follow up on that. April 24th, there will be a permaculture discussion at the stable from 6:45 to 9 p.m., and that will discuss sustainable living. There will be a shred day, not a shred day, there will be a styrofoam collection day, May 18th, at the Graden Pool parking lot from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So bring all that used that styrofoam that you have sitting around, and we can get rid of it and recycle it. And then April 22nd, there will be a viewing, an interactive viewing of the film Schoolhouse Rocks Earth at the Ridgewood Library, and that will be April 22nd at 4 p.m. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
I just have a few items. Historic Preservation Commission meets tomorrow evening, 8 p.m. in the Garden Room. Planning Board will be meeting Tuesday, 7:30, right here in this courtroom, which is interesting. The Planning Board has had no applications for quite some time. I don't think we've met in months, right? But the Master Plan Advisory Committee did meet last night with Neil Desai from NV5, and we plan to wrap up the visioning questionnaire early May, and so we're going to have one last push over the next few weeks to encourage everyone to complete the survey and to participate and map their vision at visionridgewood.org. Any people out there, any folks out there who have hard copy surveys that they would like to drop off or send to Village Hall, please do so as soon as possible. We want to make sure that everybody's views are added into the mix. And after we closed that down, we started to put some dates on the calendar for early summer for our open house workshops, which are charrettes, and that's the next step in this process. And so we have a couple of dates tentative on the calendar, so we don't want to announce those yet. But once we firm those up and all the activities involved, that'll be a really exciting piece, because that's where everybody kind of comes into the room and charrettes and different ideas are exchanged, and we start to really refine the information that we've gathered through that survey process. So very exciting time, and so please do visit visionridgewood.org, take the survey, map your vision, and or send in the hard copy. We're really looking forward to hearing from everyone. It's an exciting time. Thank you.
It is. Thank you. Councilwoman Walsh?
I have nothing to report this evening.
Councilman Wade?
Thank you, Mayor. I had the opportunity to attend at the Ridgewood Student Center this past Monday the Civic Quiz Bowl, and I highly recommend it to all my council members for next year. It was a blast, by the way. It was a lot of fun. The League of Women Voters put this together, and they did a really nice job. Questions related to multiple choice questions, so you had a 25% chance of getting the right answer.
I like the odds.
So they had questions on federal and state and then on a local level, and they did just a really nice job. There's probably 100 students who were engaged in it as well, so it was a lot of fun. Yeah. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Sure.
I always do this. I always forget something. So I just wanted to add to my little report. Federated HSA, which is the umbrella to all of the local HSAs, had obtained some grant money, and they're doing a program, Stop, Look, and Wave, which is a pedestrian vehicular safety campaign. And we've partnered with Federated HSA to add a link to our website that will bring everyone to some safety initiatives and safety tips for both pedestrians and vehicles. And we've decided to take this approach with Federated because they wanted to take a more global approach and not just aimed or geared towards children, but geared towards everyone. So if anyone visits the Village website now, there's a little button, and it has the Stop, Look, Wave logo on it, and if you click that button, it will bring you to safety tips and initiatives that are helpful, especially in our central business district or anywhere where it's a little bit more congested. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Just wanted to let everybody know, Central Business District Advisory Committee meets tomorrow downstairs in the gun room at 8:30 a.m. Also, I was invited by Don Citrullo from the Health Department last week to attend an event called COYL, short, C-O-Y-L, Conversations of Your Life. And it was such an interesting event because it's a program where they put together this sort of almost like a living testament of, of what are the things that you want in terms of medical care in case there's a serious accident. Do you want them to resuscitate? Do you want them to keep you alive? Life support, things that none of us want to talk about. They're kind of morbid things. And as any of the big conversations of our lives, those milestones are always very uncomfortable, very difficult conversations. And so I'm glad that she invited me to go, and I had to write down all these different things, even down to the detail of the things that you want at your funeral service, which nobody wants to talk about. But the interesting concept was, as we heard a lot of the speakers who were there, a lot of them came up and shared their stories as to, having to deal with the death and illness of family members who didn't do this kind of planning. And they were stuck making some really tough decisions. And in some cases, some of the family members came back from being in a coma and said, "Why did you let me suffer?" So it was eye-opening. It was very interesting to hear all the feedback. And the takeaway was that we have no control on how we are welcome into the world, but at least we have control in terms of how we're ushered out and lessen the burden and these difficult choices on our family members by having this. It's a simple document. It's like 5 pages. I believe that there's a way to download it online. and you basically keep it in a safe place. You tell folks where it is, and when you pass, or if something happens, they can refer to it, and I thought it was very helpful. Today we had our bi-weekly meeting with the guys from Epic for the parking garage. Today we brought in the police department and fire department to go over a lot of the safety considerations, things that they have the expertise in doing, and it was quite interesting to hear the dialogue and some of the things that the police and fire picked up on the design. So obviously very valuable input to incorporate into the project. Also, where the placement of cameras, security cameras, any of the low walls that wouldn't provide any sort of refuge or hiding spot for someone with bad intentions. And I think that so far, the process has been tremendous. I think Epic comes in very well prepared. We had the deputy mayor and village manager also sit in on the meetings. I don't know if you guys want to share any of your feedback.
I just think that after you left, because the mayor had to leave a few minutes early, we had the opportunity to look at some samples, color samples and different shades, and it's just amazing when you see white and it has a shade of gray, has a shade of yellow, has a shade of pink. So we really want to get this right, because the big building and whatever color we pick, it's kind of not like you can repaint it. So what we've decided, I believe in May?
No, April 24th.
I'm sorry, April 24th. So Epic is going to prepare a sample board, and this will allow us the opportunity to look at the samples that we've kind of concluded have been pretty much the representation all along. It'll show us the stonework color, exterior, some of the finishes, interior, the different colors, different floors. There's some materials, I want to say industrial materials that would be surrounds for bicycle areas. So they're going to bring everything in, so we'll have that opportunity to share it with everyone here, to Village Council, because they're going to want us to sign off on those design elements, colors, combinations, everything, and then we can move forward from there. I think we're going to bring it in at 7,
right,
and open the room, so any residents want to stop in and take a look, you're welcome to do so.
Right, so it's 7 o'clock on April 24th. All the boards and the samples will be here. Anyone wishing to come a little early to the meeting, you can look at the boards up close and see what's being proposed. And then it'll be discussed that evening at the work session.
Right. Thank you very much. All right. Ordinances, Ridgewood Water. I move the clerk read ordinance 3709 by title and second reading that the public hearing thereon be open.
Second.
Newton?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Boyd?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3709?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 269 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood Water at Section 269-36.1, Water Service Connections.
Public hearing is now open. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Newton?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Boyd?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3709 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Newton?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Boyd?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3710 by title and second reading that the public hearing thereon be open.
Second.
Newton?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Boyd?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3710?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 145 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood fees at Section 145-6, enumeration of fees relating to code chapters.
The public hearing is now open. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Newton? Yes. Seaton?
Yes.
Boyd?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3710 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Newton?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Boyd?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3711 by title on second reading that the public hearing thereon be open.
Second.
Newton?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Boyd?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3710?
11.
11, sorry.
Bond ordinance providing for various water utility improvements in and by the Village of Ridgewood and the County of Bergen, New Jersey, appropriating $4,856,800 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $4,856,800 bonds or notes of the village to finance the cost thereof.
The public hearing is now open. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3711 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes.
The following resolutions, numbered 19-106 through 19-107, will be adopted by a consent agenda with one vote by the village council. They will be read by title only.
108, right? 106 to 108?
We're going to do that separately.
Oh, okay.
Councilman Voigt asked to have that separate.
Oh.
Title 59 approval, annual PFAS laboratory analysis services, award contract, annual PFAS laboratory analysis services. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes.
19-108, whereas Ridgewood Water has a continuous obligation to supply potable water to its ratepayers at the most efficient and economic pricing available. It is always investigating and searching for the best available method and means of providing potable water, particularly in these times where the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection and the U.S. Environmental Protection Administration are establishing new regulations to eliminate contaminant levels of many compounds and chemicals in the water. And whereas Ridgewood Water has a need to purchase water from outside sources for several reasons, including but not limited to allocation limitations and treatment options to provide system resiliency and sustainability. And whereas a new supply will be necessary to supplement capacity when wells are taken offline to construct new treatment apparatus for emergency contaminants such as PFAS. In furtherance of that goal, Ridgewood Water has been in negotiations with the Passaic Valley Water Commission to provide additional water to meet needs of its ratepayers. Now therefore be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood, Bergen County, that the Mayor and Village Manager are hereby authorized to enter into an agreement with Passaic Valley Water Commission, 1525 Main Avenue, Clifton, New Jersey, for the purchase of bulk potable water, and are hereby authorized to execute an agreement memorializing the terms of this relationship with the Passaic Valley Water Commission, the terms of which are approved by the Village Attorney and the Director of Ridgewood Water. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion?
Yeah, there was a discussion, I think last week, we were supposed to get some information on purchase pricing after the first year. We didn't get that, so that's the reason why I wanted to hold it up.
So, let me, I mean, do you want to have Mr. Calby talk about it, or you want to vote?
Yeah, there
Okay,
was...
go ahead.
Yeah,
Good
help us
evening.
understand that.
So the question was relative to the price.
Yeah, there was an agreed price for the first year, but it's a 25-year contract, and I'm just concerned that after the first year, prices could go up.
Their bulk pricing is subject to what their commission approves and then what the BPU would have to review in regard to any proposal for the rate to change. So the rate that's currently in their rate schedule is active for any bulk purchase, not just Ridgewood, and it'll stay that way until such time that they are able to obtain an approval or propose an increase or decrease. They've had that same rate now for a few years, but I can't tell what the future holds for them. I do have to say, from my perspective, I don't want to be in the position or put the council in a position that we would need this water at some point later when we could take it now. I know it's a long-term contract, 25 years. I think, as Mr. Rogers alluded to at the last meeting, there are certain outs that we probably could take advantage of in consideration if there are major rate hikes, that we find are unreasonable, relative to the terms of the contract. But for the most part, I find it's very necessary given what we're facing on the front of emerging contaminants. I have our consultant working on a hydraulic model right now that will look at us taking water from Suez, Passaic Valley, and our car treatment plant only, with all other wells offline, assuming that, when the state passes a new
restriction, and if our wells happen to change in concentration, we may need to take them offline. We would need to sustain water in the system, and if we could do that with these three sources. Right now, we only have the ability of Suez in the uppermost part of our system and the car plant once it's online later this year. We have nothing in the low part of our system, which serves all Glen Rock, majority of Ridgewood, parts of Wyckoff and Inland Park. This Passaic Valley Commission connection will provide that water to that portion of the system. So, Matt, you mentioned something to me a little bit earlier about restructuring or structuring the contract so that it wasn't out every 5 years or so.
Yeah, one of the things that as a result of one of the questions you had last week, we looked at the contract from the standpoint of exiting the contract if for whatever reason other than a default or failure to comply with the terms, because as it's set up right now, the only termination is based upon a default or a failure to comply. So, Rich and I had talked during the week. We had discussed, a number of avenues out. We're going to approach. I think every contract has a termination clause where parties can decide how to terminate the relationship at a time that may be, interim in the term. So we're going to provide an option, and I think it's a viable option. It's something similar that was done with dispatch, where since this is a 25-year contract, look at it in 5 segments of 5 years. We could even do it maybe even closer if we wanted to, but it makes sense from a 5-year term, and that within every 5-year term we have the right to get out and the right to exit as long as we give notice and time. And I think it's certainly a reasonable provision for that purpose, particularly after we make the investment. I can't see Passaic Valley having a difficulty with it because we're making the investment in terms of the connection. So that's one aspect of what I see as an opportunity. I think one of the other aspects, since it was brought up earlier, is that when they do have rate increases for the transport of water to another service or another utility, they do have to apply to DEP for that increase. And I think there's a hearing process with regard to that as well. So our participation would not be limited out of the discussion in terms of any increase. We could certainly participate in that public hearing process. So with those two things, I hope that kind of answers some of those questions you might have had.
Do we need to revise the contract?
The agreement needs to be revised for the purposes of getting that termination clause as I just described. I think the way that the resolution is written is that as long as you authorize it, we'll go to back to Passaic Valley, discuss with them this termination provision, and once we've agreed upon terms, we can advise the council again with regard to that, and then we'll have an agreement hopefully we can sign, but at least this authorizes that at this point in time.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Thank you.
I have a question. Okay, sorry. Do you want to go first? I go first? Okay. Thank you. Richard, just in terms of if we were in this agreement today and we had an annual purchase through Passaic, right? What percentage of our volume over all volume would that represent?
Currently today we purchase 10% of our volume. The other 90% comes from our wells. The additional 300 million gallons a year would add likely another 3%. So it would be 13% and 87.
So spread out, if you were looking at any, what the suggestion is like potential price gouging, which I don't think could happen under the current structure, that would be absorbed throughout the entire rate, so it becomes then de minimis at best. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and you can then balance that against the Suez purchase.
Right.
You don't need to take as much from Suez. There's a lower minimum there of 500,000 a day. Our current budget structure today, if we had to purchase the 300 million gallons from Passaic Valley this year, there would be enough money in there taking the minimum from both.
Right. Okay. So this would not be a concern for you at all?
No.
Right. Okay. I agree.
Rich, always with these long-term projects, contracts, you always want to have some sort of modeling out of what to expect. And without the benefit of a crystal ball, can we at least look backwards and see what, on average, the increases have been over the years, just so that we have a better sense of what they could potentially be? Again, it's no measure of what the future will hold, but at least give us some...
Sure. I could
Do
do
we
that.
know what that is? No, we don't.
I don't know offhand. I could ask them for that. In addition to that, I don't know if Mr. Timoney said at the last meeting, but they've offered tours. If you'd like to see their plant, if there's any resident that would like to see it, they've offered that as well. They've certainly upgraded their treatment from many years ago, and our south side tank where this connection is going to be made was actually built with the pipe connection for this. So there was the planning for this and foresight decades ago when the tank was built, knowing that we would need it in the future. But, you know, I could find that information, but I offer, in addition, if you want to take a tour, you know, meet the people that run the plant, how they treat their water, that offers out there.
Yeah, I have another question then for Matt. So, Matt, if we put in a no-cause exit clause, termination clause, whatever we do, you know, that door swings both ways. So do we put ourselves, because we recognizing that the percentage of volume overall and how that would impact if there were any unforeseen exorbitant increase, which I don't see because those protections are there, then being de minimis at best, if that door swings both ways, we might actually put ourselves in jeopardy. Do you see that or not at all?
I don't really see that. I think when you look at contract law and parties that enter into contracts, we've been here for a long time. Passaic Valley has been out there for a long time. Their interest and our interest are similar, and that's why you enter into contracts. I don't think there's a sinister issue here. I think that it may be at some point in time, you know, because of the possibility of rate increases or something else, that there is a need for an exit that doesn't have to do with a default. There is no provision in the agreement that actually deals with that, which is kind of funny because they've probably supplied water to other entities. So I think it's not something to worry about giving them the opportunity. I think it really is an exercise in good faith between the parties to develop that relationship so that you know that there is, you know, if things don't go right because of something that's unforeseen and something that you can't deal with, an act of God or something like that, you do have an opportunity after a period of time to be able to terminate. So 25 years is a long time, and particularly for municipal contracts or government contracts, 25 years is a long time.
I've actually calculated a payback number of years based on the investment we're making for the studies we've done, the engineering and the pipeline. So I could possibly consult Mr. Rogers and use that as the basis of that in-out time period. That way we're not getting out, or they're not getting out too soon, that we don't recover our costs for the pipeline, because I know that was another concern expressed at the last meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, we'll vote?
So who, Bernadette seconded that?
Yes.
Yeah, I second.
Okay.
Okay. Newton?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voight?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Hache?
Yes.
Okay.
I move the first reading of ordinance 3720.
Second?
Newton?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voight?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Hache?
Yes. So ordered. Would the clerk please read ordinance 3720 by title?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 145 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood fees at Section 145-4 departmental fees.
I move that ordinance 3720 be adopted on first reading and that May 8th, 2019 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
Second?
Newton?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voight?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Hache?
Yes. I move the first reading of ordinance 3721.
Second.
Newton?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voight?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Hache?
Yes. So ordered. The clerk please read ordinance 3721 by title.
An ordinance to amend Article 8 of Chapter 212 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Parks and Recreation Areas at Article 7, Section 212-29, dogs.
I move that ordinance 3721 be adopted on first reading and that May 8, 2019 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
Second.
Newton?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voight?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Hache?
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3712 by title on second reading, that the public hearing thereon be open.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Boyd.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3712?
A bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements in and by the Village of Ridgewood in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, appropriating $5,690,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $5,418,000 bonds or notes of the village to finance part of the cost thereof.
The public hearing is now open. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Boyd.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes.
Move that ordinance 3712 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Boyd.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3713 by title on second reading that the public hearing thereof be open.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Boyd.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3713?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 265 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Vehicles and Traffic, at Section 265-33, Permit Parking.
The public hearing is now open. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Boyd.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3713 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Boyd.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3714 by title on second reading that the public hearing thereof be open.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Boyd.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3714?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 244 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood entitled Smoking, at Article 4 entitled Tobacco Shops, Cannabis Shops, and Electronic Vapor Substance Inhalation Shops.
The public hearing is now open. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Boyd.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3714 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Boyd.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3715 by title on second reading that the public hearing thereof be open.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Boyd.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3715?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 186 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Landscapers and Landscaping Services at Section 186-3, Permit Required, and Section 186-4, Permit Fee, and Section 186-5, Term of Permit, and Section 186-7, Application Procedure and Required Information.
The public hearing is now open. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Voight.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3715 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Voight.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3716 by title on second reading that the public hearing thereof be open.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Voight.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3716?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 145 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood Fees at Section 145-6, enumeration of fees relating to code chapters.
The public hearing is now open. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Voight.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3716 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Voight.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3717 by title on second reading that the public hearing thereof be open.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Voight.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3717?
An ordinance to amend Article 8 of Chapter 156 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Food and Food Handling Establishments, at Section 156-69, Location, and Section 156-70, Application for License, and at Section 156-85, Seasonal Operation, Duration of License.
The public hearing is now open.
Good evening, Boyd Loving, 342 South Irving Street. There seem to have been a number of ordinances related to this that have come up within the last few weeks. Some have been passed. I guess this one may be passed tonight. So my concern is that when is this all going to fall into place, that the outdoor cafes are going to be subject to a new ordinance? As I walk through town, I still see that there are cafes operating where there are barriers that are too close to the curb, barriers that are too tall, permits displayed in windows that are expired in December of last year, but yet people seem to be still operating their cafes. When are the new rules going to take effect, and when are they going to be enforced? Is this just going to, that every month you're going to introduce something new and you're going to hold off enforcement because you don't have it down straight yet? People are trying to open their car doors. They're hitting these objects. The sidewalks are crowded still in some spots. When are we going to start to see the new law, new rules take effect, and when will enforcement start so that we can enjoy the pleasure of walking on the sidewalk and being able to open our car doors?
Thank you. So the amendments are done. When's the timing of it, Heather?
Well, the amendments, actually, we're working on these amendments now. This is the final adoption.
Right.
So anything that's permitted in this ordinance, we're allowing now. Each individual has to come and apply for a new outdoor cafe permit. Our code enforcement official is actually reviewing the applications because so much has changed. She's actually doing a site inspection of each and every outdoor cafe, and then making sure that what's on the plans is actually what's in reality, and then it'll make it easier for enforcement going forward, because then, they will have signed off, the owners will have signed off on it, or the managers of that establishment, and therefore they'll know that this is how it's going to be enforced. We are going to have enforcement throughout the summer and throughout the fall, and by various departments. And so what exists now with this adoption is what's going forward. If there are outdoor cafes now that are using 2018's outdoor cafe permits, we'll find that out and we'll make them come in for their new permits for the new rules and regulations. So we are out there now, we have been out there, and we'll continue to be out there to monitor it throughout the season.
I guess a key question I have is somebody now entitled to operate an outdoor cafe without a 2019 permit?
No, they are not.
So if there is no permit displayed in a prominent place at a location that a taxpayer walks by and an outdoor cafe is operating, they are operating unlawfully. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's correct, and that's why we're out looking now that the weather is nice. The code enforcement people will be out looking to see if anyone is operating now off a 2018 permit, in which case they need to come in and get their 2019 one. Instead of summoning them immediately, we would tell them come in right away and get your 2019 permit. If they refuse to do so, then we would issue a summons.
So if they are operating, you're not going to shut them down?
We are going to make them come in and comply with the existing ordinance.
So I think that, let me kind of jump in, because my recollection is that we were going to have some gap period in this because we were trying to get this right, and so
that's the education part of it.
We're in that little gap. So what we really want to do is get this right,
get it right,
and get the permits, everybody in gear and permits, and I think that our code enforcement will be out there. And
has been already, actually.
And especially with the new regulations, to make certain that everyone is complying.
But I do remember at some point in time, because of the anticipation of the last amendments that were made, that there was sort of a drop-dead period.
Right.
And I thought for some reason it was end of this week or beginning of next.
Right.
Well, this final ordinance won't be effective until April 30th.
Right.
Right.
So that would be the final
That's
drop.
the final, right.
By law. So, and I think that what again, this just my recollection is that because we were going to apply these standards to the process.
Correct.
and then, but our enforcement technically can't happen until the law becomes effective.
Correct.
So I think we have
However-
that gray area.
However, anyone who's operating with a 2018 permit must come in and get the 2019 permit.
Correct.
That's without a doubt.
With these standards applied.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. And so that's why our enforcement officials are out. They are looking. And so I just encourage anyone who may be listening, any business, to please come in and get your 2019 permit, because you can't operate on a 2018 permit. And again, is it going to be an educational process for the outdoor cafes, because it is different than it's been in several years. And so, we don't want to be harsh and to summons them immediately. We really want it to work with them to get it right.
Good with that?
So, just to clarify, so it sounds like the drop dead date is April 30th.
That's when all ordinances
The
will be
last of the
effective.
amendments will be
Right.
effective.
So if somebody happens to be walking through the CBD and sees things that are too close to the curb, not a 52-inch width or whatever the width is, planters are too high, after April 30th, well, I mean, how long is this going to go on that people are allowed to slide?
So I think we're going to do our best to get enforcement out there and address it so that we get this taken care of once and for all. And I think that our best effort will be to have everyone fall in line and be compliant. I think that that's what code enforcement does.
And there have been some that have been approved for 2019, along with the site inspection. So those are good to go, and those owners know that they can't vary where they're putting their tables and their chairs or their planters. And so others, perhaps are still working on the 2018 permit, which they do need to come in and get the 19.
So if I understand you correctly, Ms. Maylander, there are no 2019 permits going to be issued unless there's been a site inspection and it is verified that the person or the facility is in compliance with the new standard.
That's what we're doing this year, yes, because it's changed so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Newton?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Hushay.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3717 be adopted on second reading and the final publication is required by law.
Second.
Newton?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
White?
No.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Hushay.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3718 by title on second reading and the public hearing thereon be open.
Second.
Newton?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Hushay.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3718?
A bond ordinance providing for the acquisition of equipment for the parking utility in and by the Village of Ridgewood in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, appropriating $142,000 therefor, and authorizing the issuance of $142,000 bonds or notes of the village to finance the cost thereof.
The public hearing is now open. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Newton?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Hushay.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3718 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Newton?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Hushay.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3719 by title on second reading and the public hearing thereon be open.
Second.
Newton?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Hushay.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3719?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 265 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Vehicles and Traffic, at Section 265-29, parking meter zone designated.
The public hearing is now open. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Newton?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Hushay.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3719 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Newton?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Hushay.
Yes.
Okay, so let me just confirm this one. Hold on. Give me 1 second. 127?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, hold it. All right, yeah, that's what you had.
127, is that correct, Councilman?
Yeah, just
Floyd? Okay.
127, yeah. please.
Okay, so The following resolutions, numbered 19-109 through 19-28, with the exception of 19-127, will be considered on a consent agenda and adopted with one vote by the village council. They will be read by title only. Title 59, approval, restoration of concrete wall and drainage ditch on Hillcrest Road. Award contract, restoration of concrete wall and drainage ditch on Hillcrest Road. Title 59, approval, coffee concession at Ridgewood Train Station. Award contract, coffee concession at Ridgewood Train Station. Award contract under state contract furnishing and delivering unleaded gasoline and unleaded diesel fuel. Award contract under state contract, parts and related services, fleet division. Award contract under state contract, tires. Award contract under state contract, rescue tools, fire department. Award contract under Bergen County Cooperative Purchasing Program by Bituminous Concrete and various road repair materials for Village of Ridgewood and Village Water Utility. Award contract under Passaic Valley Sewerage Commission, Cooperative Pricing Systems, sewage transfer pumps for Andover Pump Station. Award emergency contracts, storm sewer collapse, Heights Road manhole installation. Authorized change order, emergency construction, sewer collapse, Heights Road emergency pipe lining work. Authorized encroachment agreement, 75 North Van Deen Avenue. Dissolve Ridgewood Construction Board of Appeals. Accept donation to Ridgewood Community Center. Declare property surplus, Public Works. Establish community center rules of conduct. And on this one, we are going to say, hold on one moment. Thank you. Maintain personal cleanliness and good hygiene. Body odor must not be so offensive so as to constitute a nuisance to other persons. That's the only change in that resolution. And then, hold on. Authorize execution of policy statement and agreement, municipal stream clearance and maintenance, and dredging of Kings Pond, Bergen County Mosquito Commission, and authorize funding for schematic diagram and 3D computer model of proposed police department indoor shooting range. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Newton?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Hache?
Yes.
Okay, so 19-127. One sec. Okay. Whereas the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood has authorized and established that the parking spaces which were originally designated for Hudson Lot parking permits only for commuters in the Hudson Street parking lot shall now be designated as flex parking spaces, which are available to both Hudson Lot parking permit holders as well as Shoppers Diners through ordinance number 3719 and through resolution 19-102, temporarily suspended enforcement to allow for both Hudson Lot parking permit holders as well as Shoppers Diners to park in these spaces prior to the adoption of ordinance number 3719. Whereas the Ridgewood train station parking lot is being reconfigured and the construction to do so will displace up to 40 premium parking permit holders from the train station parking lot on a daily basis. Whereas the Village of Ridgewood wishes to provide additional parking spaces for the premium parking permit holders displaced from the Ridgewood train station parking lot at the Hudson Street parking lot while the Ridgewood train station parking lot is under construction. And whereas it has been determined that the 3 rows of parking spaces at the Hudson Street parking lot, which are farthest from South Broad Street, can accommodate additional parking. Now therefore be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood that the village manager shall direct the Ridgewood Police Department to allow parking in the Hudson Street parking lot as follows. Beginning at South Broad Street, in the first 3 rows of parking spaces closest to South Broad Street, they will be used by Shoppers Diners, only Shoppers Diners. In the next 2 rows of parking spaces, they will be used by Hudson Lot parking permit holders only. In the last 3 rows of parking spaces, which are the farthest from South Broad Street, they will be designated as flex parking spaces and shall be used on a daily basis by Hudson Lot parking permit holders, premium parking permit holders, and Shoppers Diners with a 3-hour limit and the requirement to pay the meters on a first-come, first-served basis. And be further resolved that the provisions of ordinance number 3719 and resolution number 1902 shall not be enforced until such time as the village manager directs the Ridgewood Police Department to do so. May I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion?
Yeah, I want to make sure we have enough parking spaces at Hudson Street for the loss of the spaces we're going to have at the train station. I guess we're losing 40 spaces there. I know they're
Right.
flex spaces, but I just want to make sure we have do you think we have enough?
It's approximately, there are approximately 30 spaces. It's also going to be rolling spaces, so there may be some spaces at the train station that come online sooner than others. In addition, the premium parking hang tags, which are the ones in the train station, can park in absolutely any lot. So if they can't find it at Hudson, they can go to Chestnut, they can go to Walnut, they can go to Cottage Place or Prospect. So they actually can go to any of those spaces. They just can't park in the Shoppers Diners. So it allows them to park in every lot.
Okay, fair enough.
I think that ran fairly smoothly.
Yeah, actually on, what day was it? Tuesday. There was actually, there were spaces still left in Hudson Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and that was at about 10:30 in the morning, so the commuters had gone in.
Okay.
So I think we're going to be okay. If we find we're not, we can certainly, look at it again, but I think we should be okay.
Okay, fair enough.
And I'd like to, our public outreach was pretty good, and so if there were any issues, we had some, people that were willing to let us know if there were any issues that would come up, and we haven't heard anything, so hopefully everything's going smoothly.
Okay, fair enough. Good.
Okay. So let me just do the roll call vote for that. Knutson?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Boyd?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes. We'll go back to comments from the public, not to exceed 5 minutes per person.
Good evening, Boyd Loving, 342 South Irving Street. I'm somewhat disappointed because I attended both work sessions when the proposed changes to the dogs in parks ordinance was discussed. And I took a look at the draft ordinance that's in the book tonight, and it does not seem to match what the council discussed whatsoever. I'm perplexed. In particular, the ordinance is in the books over there, specifically states that dogs will be prohibited completely from the following parks: Van Ness Park, Looning Park, Twinney Pond, Kings Pond, Pleasant Park, Leicester Stable, and North Road Park. I don't believe that's what the council discussed at all. It is also perplexing in that on Earth Day, there is a dog festival scheduled to take place in Van Ness Memorial Park. Van Ness Memorial Park, as you all know, has paved areas. I see no reason why dogs can't be walked on a leash through the paved areas and be kept off the grass, as is what is going to be happening at Vets Field. Again, I was here for both work sessions. I do not recall the council stating that they wanted Van Ness Memorial Park, Looning Park, Twinney Pond, Kings Pond, Pleasant Park, Leicester Stable, and the North Road Park excluded from what you were trying to do with leashed dogs. And my interpretation of what is in that book is that that is what's going to happen if you pass the ordinance on May 8th as it's written there. So if that is your intent, I would respectfully request that a member of the Health Department and a member of Parks and Recreation be present for the public hearing to explain why dogs on leash are being excluded from those parks, because that's the way the draft ordinance seems to be written. Thank you very much.
So, okay. You have that? I have it here. So our interpretation, so dogs are hereby prohibited from all public playing fields, playgrounds, and playscapes in the village from the following public park areas or property. So the way I interpreted this, and you can tell me if this was the playing fields, playgrounds, and playscapes, and from the following public park areas. Pleasant, because it's primarily a playing field. Memorial Park at Van Ness Square. No, I thought we said that.
In C, you talk about the track, because we defined walking or jogging path.
Right.
And in C, we included
Better,
Veterans Memorial Park walking or jogging path. So that's someplace where they can go.
we add, I thought we added, okay, I may have confused the Memorial Park in Van Ness with Memorial Park at Veterans, because Van Ness was supposed to be in that.
Just follow directions.
I know, it's
So
okay.
we can, I think we can amend it.
Well, I mean, we can, yeah, I mean, no, can we open it again? Because they adopted it on first reading. Tell me how to do it.
Well, I think you can, if the council is interested in making some changes with regard to the draft as it is right now, you can, on motion at this point in time, vote to reopen the introduction of this particular ordinance, and on a roll call vote, and then leave it open for further discussion.
Matt, did we, try to figure out if, maybe somebody from Parks and Rec was here, is a skate park considered separately from Graydon, or is it part of Graydon?
It would be both. I would think it would be in Graydon Park.
I would think it would be in Graydon Park. We also mentioned the, I think in here, we also mentioned in the open areas surrounding the Leicester Stable.
Right. And the reason for that is because of the day camp that uses that in that area.
Yeah.
And that's all actually, the open areas are like the butterfly garden, the meadow that they call over on the side of the stable. Those are the open areas. And again, those aren't paved areas. Those aren't, areas that necessarily, oh, jeez. I don't know what I was going off. Time's up. Saved by the bell. No. So anyway, so that's really the reason.
So I'm
why those areas.
confused of something here, because I have just our, so Veterans Memorial Park. I'm just looking at that exchange where we were defining the walking path, where we made that definition.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And in the prohibition, we
So,
said Veterans Memorial Park playing fields.
And then, right. And then the open areas surrounding the walking or jogging path, because that includes the area as you're coming into Village Hall over on the left-hand side. The reason for that is we have the day campers all over there, 480 this year so far. Also the fact that we have soccer over there, we have skills and drills for youngsters, and really, they can walk on the path around Veterans Field, but to have them, in the area where the day camp is, it's a very big concern for the Director of Recreation.
Okay, so I see that our exchange between us is different than what is in our packet, because on here, and I guess this is where some confusion happened, and I did not go back and compare that because
What are you referring to?
So let me just make sure.
You're referring to the emails that we had?
Our
going back-
emails, right. So on our emails, it states, as it pertains to public parks with playing fields, playgrounds, or playscapes, dogs shall be permitted to be walked on leashes with a leash no longer than 6 feet with an adequate collar. Citizens, 20 Memorial Park at Van Ness Square, Luning, Kings Pond, Irene Habernacle, so they're all listed in permitted. But
Right, and that's in C.
I don't think I was on that email, but.
That's in C.
it doesn't say that. It's different. So it's different. The one that we had,
No,
Matt,
C
that's-
says that they're permitted at
C is
Veterans
permitted.
Memorial Park, Irene Habernacle, Shedler, Dunham Trail, Grove Park, Chesapeake Pond Park.
But it doesn't include Van Ness.
and it doesn't include looning or, so this is where I had asked Matt to define that definition for walking
Right.
path.
And that's there.
And so this, what I have here in front of me on this document, that's obviously in the binder, is different than what was sent as, to make sure that this is what was appropriate.
This is what I sent. I'm just letting you know, this is what I sent. But if you want to change it, that's up to you.
No, that's what I remember from the exchange.
By the way, we haven't,
That's what I remember.
I don't think we've taken a roll
So
call.
this one,
We did.
the one I have from yesterday that I confirmed, it states in section C, pertains to public parks with playing fields, permitted to walk on leashes, with an adequate collar, and it lists Citizens Park, 20, Memorial Park at Van Ness Square, Luning, Kings, Irene, Shedler, Dunham, Grove, Spring Ave, Grove, Gypsy Pond, South. So this is different.
Okay, I don't think I saw that one, honestly.
I don't think I saw that one either, because
But
the only one I...
this is what you sent me.
No, it's not today. The final one, when I said final
Oh, no,
yesterday.
this was the one that I was asked, was did this cover? And I said, yes, that covered. So I think maybe it just...
Even the one with Matt didn't list those.
I don't know how
I'm
it's
just letting you
possible.
know.
Open it then.
So do we reopen, what do we do? Okay, let's get the show on a roll.
All right, well,
It's a vote up by the board.
Okay, I make a motion
I think we
to-
need to determine what you want to do, or maybe bring it back to April 24th discussion again, and we can have the Director of Recreation here, and let the Director of Recreation,
No, I think we'll do it now. I
okay,
think we can do it
sure.
now. So I'll make a motion to reopen,
No, well, they're
Public
working
hearing.
on this.
okay, so I'm making a motion to reopen the public hearing on,
No, it's an introduction.
or the introduction on ordinance 3721. Is that
Right.
covered?
Yeah, hold on, let me get back to it. Hold on, okay, 3721, right?
Right, correct.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Go ahead. Take what we have and then tell me what to put where.
okay, so on here, it states on section B,
Right.
dogs are hereby prohibited from playing fields, playgrounds, and playscapes in the village, and from the following public park areas or property. Pleasant Park, I think we all agree.
Okay.
Veterans Memorial Park Field,
Right, because it's free, and the playscape,
right,
right?
correct. Maple Park,
Well, no, the next one is Looning Park.
no, so
We'll have
we're,
no
so
more.
now we're changing it. So Maple Park, and the open areas surrounding the Lester Stable, is that appropriate? Dogs are also prohibited from all public tennis courts, including those located at Bel Air Road, Glen School, North Monroe Street, Somerville School, and Ridgewood High School, as well as from both Graydon Park and Graydon Pool. And then section C states, subject to section B above, as it pertains to public parks with playing fields, playgrounds, or playscapes, dogs shall only be permitted to walk on leashes with a leash no longer than 6 feet in length, with an adequate collar at the following parks: Citizen Park, 20 Pond Park, Memorial Park at Van Ness Square.
Slowly, please, so I can get it all.
Oh, so I'm sorry.
20, go ahead.
Okay, so let me, Citizen Park, 20
Right.
Pond Park, Memorial Park at Van Ness Square, Luning Park, Kings Pond Park, Irene Habernickel Family Park, Shedler property, Dunham Trail, and in parens, it had open space area
From Grove Street
from
to
Grove
Spring.
Street to Spring Ave, Grove Park, and Gypsy Pond Park, south of Lakeview Compost Facility.
Right.
Any, I can't read what's under there.
Says any unidentified
Public.
public park areas or property that are not included in sections B or above, or this section C, it should be section B above and get rid of the or, shall be subject to the regulations pertaining to playing fields, playgrounds, playscapes in section B.
North Road is not a park, it's a conservation area that's landlocked, and there's private property surrounding it, and we don't think that residents would like people bringing dogs through their private property.
Okay, so now just, do you want to go, does everyone else want to go through and weigh in on how that translates? Because then we have, right, Okay. Is that it?
Again, my support was always for any area that's paved, just keep dogs off athletic fields and open grassy areas.
Okay, Looning is not paved. It's all grass.
Yep.
Right, but that's not an actual athletic
Playing fields.
playing field
Okay.
or play ski, so it doesn't comport.
They
so
do
I-
use it though sometimes, but, okay. I'm just pointing out, you said it was paved. Okay.
So, and I think in that back and forth, because if you recall, we had the back and forth as to whether or not the cleaning up after your dog was separate, and then it was like whether or not that's separate.
Oh, there's a separate ordinance. I mean,
Right.
Heather,
How
that email I was on, and Heather pointed out there was a separate ordinance before I had.
Hold on.
So, I mean, anybody else can weigh in, but that's how it read on that modified version.
So, I mean, I'll just make the comment, I mean, I have dogs, I'm a vigilant dog owner. If I walk my dogs, I pick up after them. I do live by a park. No one ever leaves their dog on the leash. They never pick up after their dogs. We've, I think, established that it's going to be very difficult for us to enforce this. So, I mean, my concern is that for all the people that do behave, they're going to be unfortunately outweighed by the people that don't behave, and then our parks are going to have some challenges with, people not picking up after their dogs. The other challenge that by the park where I live is that we have a pond, dogs jump into the pond, get stuck in the pond, there's safety issues there. So that's my concern. Like I said, I'm a good dog owner. I take care of my dogs, but I see on a regular basis people just, bad behavior. And you don't want to be the person that goes out to try to police them, because that's not any resident's job either. So, but I don't think that the Ridgewood Police Department is going to have their mindset on enforcing this. I really just
I think, like I said, I think last week we talked about the sign that was sent by a resident that was a pretty simple, clear sign. It said, dog on a leash, pick up after your dog.
Well, there's signs that say, no dogs allowed, and dogs are running through there all the time.
Yeah, but that's actually the point. They're there. They're already there. So why not establish some guidelines and say, look, we know that you'll want your dogs out there, but at least help us to make certain that people are safe, your dogs are safe.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, Twinney also is a passive park that doesn't see nearly as many people as these other parks.
Right.
Dunham Trail, I know that a lot of people walk on Dunham Trail, and, I would hate for people to be stepping and stuff the whole time they're walking.
But they're, like I said, my belief is that they're out there anyway, and people have an obligation, and most people are good, dog owners, and they do clean up after their animal. If somebody's inclined to not pick up after their dog, they're probably inclined to allow their dog to run all over the place anyway. So,
yeah, true.
It's bad actors shouldn't rule the.
I just don't think that it's enforceable. I mean.
Well, not having an ordinance isn't enforceable either.
Yeah, I know, but I think the expectation is this is not going to be an enforceable or enforced ordinance, so.
Well, it might, it might not be enforced to the letter all the time, but say that there's, a couple families move into a park, and then, they start bringing their dogs there all the time, and then a problem develops where there's constantly dogs running around and people aren't picking up after them, then I think, this ordinance would at least be in place that somebody could call and complain. And if it's a chronic issue that's happening every day, then, the police might go up there and, be able to check it out. But yeah, if you have like a one-off actor who comes out and lets their dog run around and drop what they drop all over the place, you're not going to be able to call the police, and I don't think they're going to pop up there in time in 5 or 10 minutes to catch the person not cleaning up after their dog. So I mean, it's one of those things. Maybe it's better to just have on the books in case a big problem does occur, so that it could be enforced rather than not have anything. So if people call and they complain and something develops in the future where there's a chronic problem, there's no way to we'd have to come up with an ordinance and go through this whole process again to try and address it. So that way, if it's bad enough, there's something there to address it, I guess.
Okay.
So just going back to this, so on B, section B, where it says dogs are hereby prohibited from public playing fields, playgrounds, and playscapes in the village and from the following public park areas, we have to cross out.
Let me just read them and make sure it's right.
Can we just
Yeah,
go
go
over
ahead.
what's...
Yeah,
Let's go through the whole thing.
Okay, let me read it. So for B, the ones that are prohibited from all public playing fields, playgrounds, and playscapes, and from the public park areas, okay? Pleasant Park, Memorial Park, Venice Square, Veterans Memorial Park playing fields, open areas surrounding the walking or jogging path at Veterans Memorial Park, because that would encompass the side area there. Citizens Park playing fields, because they do play down in that lower area across from GW. Maple Park and the open area surrounding the Lesser Stable, then all the tennis courts that are listed, and then Graydon Park and Graydon Pool. Then they'll be permitted in, with the leash, in Citizens Park, 20 Pond, Memorial Park at Venice Square, then Looning Park, Kings Pond Park, and Veterans Memorial Park walking or jogging path, Irene Habernickel Family Park, Shedler Park, Dunham Trail, with the parentheses, Grove Park and Gypsy Pond Park. Yes? Correct? That's correct.
One more time, I'm sorry.
Sure, but for C, where they're permitted?
Let's go to do B one more time.
Okay.
Just let's read it the way it would be read.
Pleasant Park.
No, in other words, go start from the beginning. Dogs are hereby prohibited from playing fields. Read it the way it would be read.
Dogs are hereby prohibited from all public playing fields, playgrounds, and playscapes in the village, and from the following public park areas or property. Pleasant Park, Memorial Park at Van Ness Square.
No, so
Okay,
that
that's
gets
wrong,
removed.
sorry. And I did have it on the other one as well, so that's why. Okay, thank you. Veterans Memorial Park playing fields, open areas surrounding the walking or jogging path at Veterans Memorial Park, Citizens Park playing fields, Maple Park, open areas surrounding the Lesser Stable. Dogs are also prohibited from all public tennis courts, that didn't change, as well as from both Graydon Park and Graydon Pool.
Right.
Then, subject to section B, it pertains to public parks with playing fields, playgrounds, or playscapes. Dogs shall only be permitted to be walked on leashes with a leash no longer than 6 feet with an adequate collar at the following parks: Citizens Park, 20 Pond, Memorial Park at Van Ness Square, Looning Park, Kings Pond Park, Veterans Memorial Park, walking or jogging path, Irene Habernickel Family Park, Shedler Property, Dunham Trail, open space area from Grove Street to Spring Avenue, Grove Park, and Gypsy Pond Park south of the Lakeview Compost Facility. Any unidentified public park areas or properties that are not included in section B above or this section C shall be subject to the regulations pertaining to playing fields, playgrounds, or playscapes in section B above.
I think that's it.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Okay, so everyone's in agreement?
Yeah, that's fine.
So now what do we do?
So now we have to, let's redo the whole introduction.
Right.
Okay? Do you want to close public comment first, or do you want to have continue public comment?
I guess we could let public comment.
That's up to you.
Let
You tell me.
Sorry?
if Anna Boyd has something to say.
Do you have comments, yeah? All
And then
right.
we can close public comments and we can introduce it.
So, public comment is still open.
Ann Lovin, 342 South Irving Street. Regarding the discussion you just had, I think on Habernickel, you want to specify that it's only on the paved walking paths and on that trail, the hiking trail. I don't
Right.
think, if I heard you correctly, you didn't say that. The other thing is regarding Councilwoman Walsh's concerns that it's going to be difficult to enforce. I mean, frankly, I see people breaking the law every single day. They walk in crosswalks, they don't walk in crosswalks, they zoom through crosswalks, they speed, they this, they that. I live on a street, South Irving Street, that people speed up from Grove Street. So, you know, you breaking the law, you're only going to get caught if you get caught. Once I know I actually brought somebody to court for almost hitting me in a crosswalk. You can do that. Now, that was way before cell phones. Now, you know, you could photograph somebody in action if you feel very strongly about it, and I can see where you would if somebody's really abusing it. But I don't think the fact that it's not going to always be enforceable should be a reason not to make the law, because you can't always enforce that somebody's walking into a crosswalk without looking, or somebody's driving through a crosswalk. So I really appreciate that you're fixing this, and I am very perplexed about why it was so different from the last 2 weeks of discussions, but thank you for fixing it.
Yeah, so in fairness, I think we had some back and forth emails and maybe something got lost in the translation, so it's...
Okay, great, thank you very much.
So what we want to do, going back to that B...
Yeah, I was going to put Habernickel Family, C actually.
C, I'm
Habernickel Family Park only on the paved walking paths and on the hiking trails.
Exactly. Walking.
We don't have a definition for hiking.
Okay,
Trails.
yeah, walking, jogging.
Walking or jogging trails.
Right. On trails, right, okay, good.
Walking, jogging paths, or
Walking, is there one?
Have the same wording as
on
you
the
did.
walking, jogging trails.
Same
Yeah.
wording as it is for veterans.
Yep. Okay, okay, got it.
So,
Okay, so are we going to close public comment and then reintroduce this?
Closed.
All right, so let's go back to the agenda. I got to find my agenda. Hold on.
so we're on 3721, right?
3721, so you make a motion to be adopted as amended?
Wow, now we got to reintroduce, we got to do the whole thing. So I start from the beginning. Or 3721.
I move the first reading of ordinance 3721.
Second.
Newton.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Boyd.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes, so order with the clerk, please read ordinance 3721 by title.
An ordinance to amend Article 8 of Chapter 212 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Parks and Recreation Areas, Article 7, Section 212-29, dogs.
So, do I have to say, I move that ordinance 3721 as amended, or we're not really amending it?
What do you think?
We reopened it, so
Be adopted
technically...
on first reading.
What do you want to do, Matt?
Well, I think you're going to have to read it in full to go through it. And
Okay. So I'll read the ordinance in full. An ordinance to amend Article 8 of Chapter 212 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Parks and Recreation Areas, Article 7, Section 212-29, dogs, be it ordained by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood. Section 1, Chapter 212, Article 8, Parks and Recreation Areas, and Article 7, Section 212-29, dogs of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood is hereby amended as follows. Add Chapter 212, Section 212-29, dogs, A, definitions. For the purposes of this chapter, the following words shall have the meanings respectively ascribed to them by this section. Playing fields, an outdoor field area or design area or court on public property used for team or individual-oriented games, events, and recreation. Playground, an outdoor area on public property provided for persons to play in or on, usually children. Playscape, an outdoor area on public property with specifically designed and integrated play equipment, usually for children. Walking or jogging path, an area, path, track, or course that is set, designated, or laid down for walking or jogging. Dogs are hereby prohibited from all public playing fields, playgrounds, and playscapes in the village and from the following public park areas or property: Pleasant Park, Veterans Memorial Park playing fields, open areas surrounding the walking or jogging path at Veterans Memorial Park, Citizens Park playing fields, Maple Park, and the open areas surrounding the Lester Stable. Dogs are also prohibited from all public tennis courts, including those located at Bel Air Road, Glen School, North Monroe Street, Somerville School, and Ridgewood High School, as well as from both Graydon Park and Graydon Pool. That was section, I don't know where this keeps going, I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know why it goes off, because it's not on. That was section B. Section C, subject to section B above, as it pertains to public parks with playing fields, playgrounds, or playscapes, dogs shall only be permitted to be walked on leashes with a leash no longer than 6 feet in length, with an adequate collar in the following parks: Citizens Park, 20 Pond Park, Memorial Park at Van Square, Looning Park, Kings Pond Park, Veterans Memorial Park walking or jogging path, Irene Habernickel Family Park walking or jogging paths, Shedler Property, Dunham Trail, open space area from Grove Street to Spring Avenue, Grove Park and Gypsy Pond Park, south of the Lakeview Compost Facility. Any unidentified public park areas or property that are not included in sections B above or this section C shall be subject to the regulations pertaining to playing fields, playgrounds, or playscapes in section B above. Delete Chapter 212, Section 212-29, dogs. Dogs are hereby prohibited from certain parks in the village as follows: Citizen Park, Graydon Park, Pleasant Park, 20 Palm Park, Memorial Park of Van Nest, and Veterans Memorial Fields. Dogs are permitted only at Irene Habernickel Family Park and Shedler Park, and only if they are on adequate collar and leash. Except as herein amended and supplemented, Section 2. Except as herein amended and supplemented, Chapter 212 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood remains in full force and effect. Section 3 of this ordinance shall take effect immediately upon passage and publication as required by law.
So now I move that ordinance 3721 be adopted on first reading and that May 8th, 2019 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
Second. Thank you. Newton?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Hache.
Yes.
Got it. So,
Motion to adjourn.
thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thanks.